Third firm and young with a laid-back tongue. The aim is to succeed and achieve at 21. Just like Ringling Brothers, I'll daze and astound. Captivate the mass cause the pros is profound. Do it for the strong, we do it for the meek.
Welcome back, Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. Want to remind you, Junkies Poker Open's back. Borgata Hotel Casino and Spa in Atlantic City. Thursday, November 6th. It's going to sneak up on us. You can register today, junkiespokeropen.com, brought to you by Potomac Metals, junkiespokeropen.com. It's November 6th.
Yes.
Drab actually wants to fly. So Borgata up there Wednesday, Thursday, leave Friday. He wants to fly from Philly to Phoenix to see the Notre Dame Arizona State game.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. That's what he wants to do.
Well, it's his alma mater.
2 undefeated sillies.
He's grasping. He's going to be salty when ASU loses to UCLA on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, you're projecting out a bit, saying they're both going to be undefeated into November.
Size for Jason, hook it up.
I can probably get you tickets, but you're going to have to find your way there, buddy. I don't know how you're going to get there. Maybe I
can take the Wales plane.
What do you think a flight from Philly to Phoenix is? 400?
Something like that.
400 or 500?
We'll go to the casinos out in the Indian reservation.
Yeah, you're just going to hit them on both coasts.
You know, one thing we haven't had a chance to talk about so far this week, because we're obviously focusing yesterday on Kirk Cousins and the Redskins, was just a story which jumped out at me over the weekend. And he's got a dome like you, Cakes.
Okay, you mean he's a bald silly like me and Pete Medhurst and half the other guys walking around in
Did
here?
you see the story about Rex Chapman?
Oh,
how could he miss it?
I used to love that.
So Rex
when he
Chapman,
wore a Bullets uniform, he could do no wrong.
Can you
in my
look
eyes.
up on your fancy site how much money he made during his career?
Sure.
He had a pretty long NBA career. And I believe after his NBA career ended as a player, he was in the front office for a while. And I know he's done different stints as a broadcaster.
Well,
allegations are that he stole like $14,000 of stuff from the Apple store.
Well, he's addicted to something. My guess is he's addicted to like crystal meth or something, because that's the kind of behavior drug addicts exhibit.
Okay, because I'm going to guess $28 million.
He played from 1988 until 2002, and he made
That's a 15-year career.
88 to 2002. Looks like there's some gaps here though. Anyway, he made $22.1 million in his NBA playing
Plus, he
career.
made a ton. He was in that era where guys were getting a lot of sneaker money.
Right.
He made a lot of money. He's an
Again,
icon in
the
Kentucky.
salaries weren't big, but the
sneaker deals were
money.
huge.
Can you punch up his Wikipedia? Because I believe he was part of the Phoenix Suns
Several organizations.
front office.
Yeah, good jobs.
I know he's worked for Turner, doing both college hoops and some NBA
It doesn't
stuff.
matter.
He's been on the NBA channel.
When guys like Antoine Walker, okay, who made 6 to 7 times more than what Rex Chapman made, are blowing through their money, I can easily see how a guy who made $22 million can blow through his cash. I'm not surprised by it one bit.
I'm just telling you. I'm betting. I'm all in on the drug addict. Does anybody want the bet?
I can't take that
I think
bet.
that makes sense because
drug addict.
The story here
Needs quick cash.
If you haven't heard the story, so he made his $23 million as a pro. He was arrested for allegedly shoplifting $14,000 worth of merchandise from an Apple store in Scottsdale and then selling the items at a pawn shop.
Right.
So he was going to was he going to like a self-checkout?
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. I understand a self-checkout at Giant or Harris Teeter, okay? That makes sense because they're not selling iPads, okay, and MacBooks. How do you have a self-checkout at the Apple store?
That's a terrible idea. They allow people to just walk out of that place with iPhone 6s?
It's just ridiculous.
Because usually the one in Reston, they come up with their little iPad and they check you out and you give them the credit card or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I've seen
and then
at
they
Apple
give it
stores
to you.
right here.
I mean, that place is on lockdown.
Sounds like Scottsdale. It's just
you can do whatever you want there.
Anything goes.
Here's a question I have. All right. Give me a former athlete with a more embarrassing story.
More embarrassing?
This, I think, is completely
Shoplifting
embarrassing.
story?
Yeah. Like, when I saw this, I was like, well, what an idiot.
Well, I mean, where do you start?
I mean, there's tons of guys who get in trouble.
I don't know if this is an embarrassing story.
I think it's embarrassing.
I mean, it's kind of sad.
Sad and embarrassing, sure.
But you're right, Cakes. I mean, how do you go into Apple Store and are you able just to walk out with
I'm
that
with
stuff?
you.
Don't they have to activate
I've
it?
been to the one at Montgomery Mall, a dozen times, and the person in the blue shirt comes out and they check you out with either their iPhone or an iPad. They don't just have stacks of iPads just sitting there. You can grab them and
Here's
scan
a question:
them.
if you
What
have
may be more embarrassing?
$14,000 worth of new Apple products,
Yeah.
what does a pawn shop give you for that? Probably
But 5G.
30%.
I mean, I don't think they give you anything. You just get
They
hoard.
just hoard it because they know you're desperate.
But you're right. He had to have taken that cash and went and bought heroin or
I
something.
guarantee you, he has money in like 401ks and IRAs and retirement
can't
things.
touch yet.
Yes, he needed quick cash
Eric,
to score.
Yes.
Yes.
I see a blog here. No, I have no idea how credible it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of Indian reservation casinos, apparently he has a huge gambling addiction.
Oh,
Okay,
is that what it
makes
is?
sense too.
All right.
He
so
that's
likes to
also-
see the cards flying. Who doesn't?
what was his
Not that I'm
last?
condoning having a gambling addiction.
What was his last job? TV job. Was he on NBA TV earlier this year?
I think so.
He wasn't very good.
Well,
He's not
remember,
good on TV.
He made news because he said Calipari was going to the Lakers.
You're right.
Right, he's not good on TV because all he cares about is getting to the casino and getting a hot shoe.
All right, so that's what it is. He's not addicted to heroin or meth. He's just addicted to flops.
He likes the action.
That's what he is.
Who doesn't?
Who's the guy? I'm honestly like thinking of celebrities, athletes who've had just embarrassing situations. Like, to me, this is just embarrassing. A guy who made millions of dollars is stealing from an Apple store. But who's the guy that got caught like hooking it?
Kellen Winslow.
Well, he's one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a
There's
dozen
lot
of those guys.
Who's the guy that ran into the train?
Eddie Griffin.
Eddie Griffin.
Not
With
the comic Eddie
with his
Griffin.
joint out.
Right.
Well,
That's
he,
probably
wailing
worse.
away.
he had a serious drinking problem. I mean, a lot of people think that he was killing himself.
yeah.
It wasn't just an accident.
Right.
He drove straight into a train.
But yeah, Kellen Winslow was caught, right? He did, like, window down.
Oh,
yeah,
a
he
woman
didn't
walked-
care.
a woman
Checking
walked
out
by.
porn.
And I think he was smoking the synthetic weed,
Yes.
too. I mean,
That's pretty bad.
I think when you're smoking that, you don't care what you're doing out in public.
Right.
Not that I've ever tried it.
Well,
So
that's the worst beat ever. If you get caught like you did in your car. There's a video. Did you guys see it? I think it was on Deadspin of a guy on a train in New York. On a friggin' train. He just got sized.
Can't help himself.
And it's just like a. It's
Well,
a
what are you thinking
he's
about?
just a
on
big brother on a train. They said on the M train. I assume it's in New York. He just leans back and he just starts wailing on it.
Just start going to town.
he was on the
Yes!
Silly J train.
And then there's a guy across who's just videotaping with his cell phone. Going, what is this guy doing?
I don't know if I'd videotape that.
Yeah, I might want to.
Why?
You know,
Because he turned it into police.
I would move to the next car.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I'd just move exactly.
There's
I'd
that-
get off on the next
as
stop.
far away as possible, as quickly as possible.
There's actually a website that kind of features that kind of behavior.
It's terrible.
I could tell Valdez about it. People are insane. They'll do that stuff like in parks or on trains.
Sounds
or
like you have intimate knowledge of said website.
I might know the name of it.
It sounds like you know it.
But if you're Rex Chapman,
You ever heard of a site called Heavy R of Valdez? You ever heard of that? Something along those lines.
if you're
But
Rex
I have a
Chapman,
search
do
that
you,
I
how,
can
don't you know you're going to be caught within a couple hours?
I would think so.
I think you'd be caught
You think an
instantly.
Apple store doesn't have video surveillance?
he's
Is it
gotta
going to
pay that
catch your
marker.
dumbass?
Got to pay that marker.
Yeah, he's got to pay the marker.
Yeah, probably
The
right.
Indians want their cash, no matter how they can get it. Whether you pay with Apple products or with cash out of your pocket. When we come back, we'll be joined by Houston Nutt, former head coach of Arkansas and Ole Miss. Talk some college football with him. But before that, I have to tell you about DraftKings.com.